Right, bizarre theories around Karen. My mother grieves for a child called Karen. She tried to persuade me to call both my first and my second daughter Karen, because I didn't do it with the first. And there is Karen Ann, daughter of my father's wife, killed in a car/bike smash, aged 19 and 1 week exactly, in the year of 1965. In that year or the following year, we spent both those summer holidays in Dawlish in Devon. A poodle was run over outside a baker's shop I was in with my mother. It was actually quite traumatic for a child who loved animals as I did. I still remember the dog's name, and the female owner screaming, "Cindy, Cindy," and to her husband, "Why did you let her off the leash?" Which was a stupid thing to do. The dog was run over by a lorry. I burst into tears, and my mother was furious with me. I've said a lot in my book that my mother was very often furious with me for reasons I couldn't begin to fathom. Why would I not be upset to see a little dog run over? Or did she think it was so much less serious than a teenage girl being killed? Shortly beforehand. Now, if she knew about Karen's death at 19, ergo she knew about Karen, period. And that raises a few questions, because my father said that he didn't know he was divorced from Enid. He married Enid in 1942. Enid divorced him in 1952. And in 1978, my father claimed he hadn't known he was divorced from Enid. He also claimed that the only reason he knew about Karen's death himself was that his mother had told him. His mother, who was in an old folks' home in Yorkshire, and wouldn't have been reading the Richmond and Twickenham Times. It's ludicrous. It is obvious that he was in touch with his wife, Enid. It is to me, anyway. Unless, of course, he was passing through Richmond, which he might well have. He had legitimate reason to pass through Richmond and pick up that paper and read it. In which case, as with so many other things, why not tell me the truth? I read it in the paper. You know I've worked all over London for 19 years. Well, in 1978 it was 17 years. It's among the places I've worked. I read it in the paper. Why? My mother read it in the paper. Oh, and his mother had supposedly kept in touch with Enid. But he said, had not. Well, anyway, however he knew about it, and I think, as I think I've made clear, extremely sinister things as to why my father knew about it. It seems to me my mother also knew about it. She grieved for someone called Karen. I spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, locked up, as it were, with my mother for a bare minimum of a decade. I knew her inside out and backwards. And Karen meant something to her. Well, okay, so that's a comparatively innocent explanation of this grief. Except, why the hell would she grieve for the daughter of her partner's ex-wife. And there's more than that. It would appear that my mother didn't even know my father was married to Enid. In 1971, my mother received 3 letters from a woman saying, "I am his wife." Now that could have been either Enid or a woman called Jacqueline, and I don't remember the name of the woman who signed the letters, unfortunately. Another place where I need a hypnotherapist. But the fact that he was married came as a tremendous shock to my mother. A very big shock. And she showed me 2 out of 3 letters. She did not show me the 3rd. And I do assume that contained evidence of some kind. So now I have my mother perhaps not even knowing until 1971 that Enid had existed. At least not as my father's wife. So why would she have known anything at all about Karen's death? So I have done some very lateral thinking. My father, big fan of Mengele. My father perhaps actually as an ex-Nazi in touch with Mengele. And twinning. It did occur to me that if my mother had given birth to twins in 1946, I say, for example, a boy and a girl, non-identical, like my brothers, that, with or without my mother's permission, one of those children could have been farmed out to what Hitler would have called a good Germanic family, which is to say, Enid. Is it remotely possible, I ask myself, that my mother had a daughter in 1946 called Karen, and with or without her knowledge, that child was given to Enid? I think it is possible. I think at that time, post-war, in the company of a Nazi, practically anything was possible. And it would fit so very well with the Germanic ideal, the Aryan Nazi Hitler ideal of a child going to a good Germanic family. It would also, of course, have solved my mother's problem, i.e. being the unmarried mother of at least one baby.